YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Okay, so today, we're having two DC videos, in one day. So today, with the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League, I thought it would be a very good time to stop and rank all 10 DCEU movies from the worst to the best. Now, I know it may seem weird to rank to do a DCEU ranking, even though this is technically kind of the same movie, except a lot of things added into the mix. But it is actually a movie because both Justice Leagues are on HBO Max separately. They're not like the original one is on there still, so it's not just one movie. They're both separate movies. So with that said, let's get started. But before we do, number 10 and number 9 are actually going to be films that I have not seen. So if you want to know what movies I have not seen, those will be the movies I have not seen, number 10 and number 9. So let me show you guys now. Let's get started with the ranking now. Alright, now let's get on with the real ranking. Alright, so for me, Suicide Squad is definitely an F film. And the reason for that is because with everything that I kept hearing about the movie, first off, that director only had 6 weeks to write the script. And then there was all this other stuff. They had to rewrite it and they wanted to redo it and stuff like that. And it just did not work. But let's go inside the film. So for the positives, I like the cast. I thought the cast was great. There's definitely a lot of, the soundtrack is pretty good, and there's like a lot of action sequences that I do actually really like. And also the characters are also good with, I thought the standouts here were Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, as well as Will Smith as Deadshot. I thought they were fantastic characters, and all the other cast members are good too, especially with Katana. Like, I thought she was another great character in the mix. But really, the other stuff that the movie doesn't really make sense of is that the story is not well told. The villains aren't exactly as good as you think they are. Like Enchantress, and it has a good premise of this fortress that's taking over this woman, and they just do something really weird with her. And it's like she doesn't really have any compelling arc. And like she does this weird dance. And like she literally makes this normal human her brother. Which literally makes no sense. And another thing I hate about this movie is the story about a team of villains going to stop another villain just does not make sense. That's kind of why I hate this movie. But it still has a good cast. Great action sequences. Great characters. Just a bunch of stuff that I did not like. But also, it's pretty generic with the villain stuff. Big army, big portal that's gonna destroy the Earth. But it's pretty much generic villain stuff. So yeah, Suicide Squad comes in last place for me at number 8. But should be at number 10 because I should be seeing all the DCEU films. So we're talking about the original cut of Justice League now, and I think if I saw Wonder Woman 1984 and Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, I think that this movie probably would have been lower or higher, because I don't hate this movie like everybody else does. Now granted, for every piece of information that I hear about it, I do get a little bit disappointed with it. At first, when I watched it to get prepared for Aquaman, I was thinking this was going to be the best DCEU film ever, because you had the director of Josh Whedon, which he technically did the first Avengers movie a couple years back before this, and technically with the Avengers, he did something so great with teaming up all these different characters and all in this one movie. In this movie, they didn't really do that. He didn't really do that. He kind of made some bad jokes, and like I said, with the characters, Flash is basically the butt end at the end of the joke. some of the Cyborg. I kind of like Cyborg in this film. Batman, he's like cracking jokes. Aquaman, I didn't really have any problems with him. I thought that even though I liked him more in the Snyder Cut and his film that he was in, but of course Wonder Woman and Superman are the big standouts here. And as an invasion story, it's kind of a little bit confusing. But I will say this, and also Steppenwolf is pretty bad. It's pretty just a generic villain problem that you've seen, and it's like he's easy to be defeated. Really, he's easy to be defeated. And also, there's some pretty terrible CGI, especially when you bring in Steppenwolf and he has that like axe where like when he would slice someone, it would like have this like big light that would like zoom and then disappear, and I didn't like that at all. So, has some good moments, especially with the cast, some cool action sequences, especially with Superman. I loved when he was fighting Steppenwolf in this movie, but overall, a very disappointing comic book film, and not really one that I thoroughly enjoyed. So, it's not really good. Now, Man of Steel, I actually was debating to put this in the top 5 because the origin of Superman in this movie is fantastic. And there's just a lot of fantastic performances with the cast, and I love that. And I like how it kind of takes the 21st century vibes and mix it in with Superman mythology and stuff like that. But it's not a great movie. It does go lackluster. I still would give this a positive review. I would give this a B+. But, of course, the Superman action in this film is fantastic. Of course, you gotta talk about General Zod, which it's a little bit hard to understand his thing, like his message in the film. But at the same time, you do understand it. And like his relationship with Kal-El, and Superman's relationship with his mom is also good, as well as Lois Lane, Amy Adams, and then you also got this really cool backstory of Superman's human dad. So there's a lot of nice touches in here. It just doesn't feel like a fantastic film. That's just the problem here. It doesn't feel fantastic to me. But still, I mean, this is still a very good movie, so I still enjoy it. Just it doesn't feel fantastic Superman to me. Oh no, Aquaman, I think I like it a lot more than most people, but I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. This is probably one of the funnest DCEU films because it really does a great job. James Wan just did such a great job when they're talking about the action sequences, the visuals of Atlantis, the way everything looks. It's so vibrant and colorful. The color scheme is beautiful. And like when he does the action sequences, especially when Aquaman and Mira, when they're in Italy and they do that long take where Mira is getting chased after those Atlantean soldiers, and like he does long takes and he does wide shots with his fight scenes, and they're choreographed very well. This movie's also a very funny movie and very goofy and corny, and I honestly just like that, and that's kind of another one of the parts that makes this movie very fun for me. Granted, the emotional segments in it with really just the ending, I didn't really think worked. Now I like the relationship with the mom and the son, and the mom and the dad. I thought their relationship was really good, but the relationship with all the other characters just did not really compel to me. I would say that this is the best DCEU film that has the best action sequences. I just love them so much. This is probably like the action sequences that I just love, where Aquaman just rips off something that he can find and just starts beating the bad guy with it, and it's just fantastic to see stuff like that. Especially when, like, in the opening scene where he's saving the pirates, and he literally, like, grabs, like, grabs the thing that you pull open to get inside the thing. He literally, like, uses it as a shield and throws it at the submariner. So, the guy in the submarine. And then when he's fighting Black Manta, he like uses like this big wrecking ball thing and hits it, and it's just fantastic to look at. So really fun movie. Just some of the emotional segments and stuff did not compel to me, but this is a very fun movie. Now Shazam, when I first saw it, I kind of felt like that this was a superhero movie where it felt so superhero-y, like, because usually the people that are big fans of superheroes are normally the kids, and this movie feels like it's trying to be the best superhero film in the world. At the same time, it's not. I think the superhero aspect of it really works, especially when you have Zachary Levi. I thought he worked perfectly as Shazam. It is just fun to see him mess up and work with his powers and saying, I gotta pee in this thing. I mean, how do I pee in this thing, dude? And then it's just so funny. And the messages about family and stuff like that, I thought works really well. It works really nicely. The third act is a bit weak, and the villain, I like the villain motivations of where his family was bullying him, and like, but then it takes that all away and makes it with a monsters chewing humans' head off. That doesn't really make sense. The third act in this movie, it has some good action sequences, but it's kind of a movie that it kind of ruins of what we're learning about in the first two halves of the film. But that's actually something that happens in another movie we'll talk about later. But overall, a really fun time, very funny, very cool action, a very clever twist, just a couple of problems here and there. So before I give you my top 3, be sure to tell me down below what is your ranking of all 10 DCEU films? Do you love it? Did you hate it? What's your favorite DCEU film? What's your least favorite DCEU movie? And are you watching the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League? Let's get some nice discussions going. With that said, let's get started with the top 3. Okay, now Wonder Woman, when I first saw it, I honestly thought that this was my favorite DCEU film, because it had a lot of amazing stuff. The story, of course, is very simple, about this woman that is born on an island that basically has a woman, no men. It's a little bit difficult. It's kind of overwhelming when you think about it at first, but it all comes together nicely. But I think what puts this film on top for me is the relationship between Diana Prince and Steve Trevor. I thought that Gal Gadot played a fantastic role as Wonder Woman. And I also thought the side characters, like Steve Trevor's friends, I thought that they were a very nice addition to the film. And especially the guy that was like scared of shooting back, which is like, that character is really interesting to me. But also, this movie also has some very cool choreographed action sequences. There's probably 2 problems with this film. Well, 3 probably. First off, the third act is not as good to me. And really that kind of ruins of what you loved in the first 2 halves, which this is the film I was talking about when I talked about with Shazam. Also, that also comes back to the villains, is that the villains aren't that intimidating. None of them are really threatening. They do these just stupid things to make them gods, and I don't really like that. Even though Ares was seemed like a villain that was perfect for this film, because it had such a good idea of adding it with the war of the World War I and the Amazonian world. It seemed like a very cool thing to do, but it didn't work for me. But everything else is fantastic. But one more thing before we get number 2 and number 1. When Wonder Woman is on the island, she seems less powerful, but when she's in the war, she seems a lot powerful than what she was in the island. And it doesn't really make sense to me. How is she powerful in the war, but she's not powerful on the island? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Maybe she just couldn't reveal her true self, I guess. But overall, this is a really good movie. Now, this is probably one of my favorite DCEU films. I just love this movie. I was nervous that this film was gonna be bad because I understand that they wanted to make Zack Snyder's own version of Justice League. I understand all of that, but the way the trailers just did not excite me. They seemed just a little bit weird. They kind of made the characters look just very weird. They made this... I will say the CGI looked better, but this turned into a film that just I loved, and I love rewatching now. Just the action sequences are really what puts this film on top for me. The characters with Cyborg and the Flash are fantastic. And the way we actually change some of the action sequences, it's fantastic. The music, that's something I didn't mention in my review. The music in some of this is really good. Some music bits don't technically work, because it's like there's music in the background, but then there's other music in the background. Doesn't really work for me. And I just love the teases of new things with Martian Manhunter and all of that. It's a comic book fan's dream come true to see this type of stuff. So overall, it's a very good DCEU film. There's just a lot to talk about, but I want to get onto number 1. But, yeah. So, if you just want to watch... I don't want to say too much, but just go watch my review for Zack Snyder's Justice League. Go watch it right now. So, now, let's talk about my number 1 pick. Now, when I first saw this movie, I was like, this is... No, actually, let's go back. So, when people first saw it, when I saw the trailer for it, it didn't really excite me. Like most of you people didn't really think it was gonna be that good. But when people went to go see it, they loved it. And, I mean, I didn't see it in the theater, but I saw it getting prepared for Zack Snyder's Justice League because it was one of the DCEU films that I've never seen before. And this was just a film that I was totally surprised with. First off, doing something different with the Harley Quinn character, with her breaking up with the Joker and giving her this new lifestyle, I thought that was actually pretty impressive. And, like, the way they did the action sequences were handled very well. And they're not trying to be like these big CGI battles. Granted, there are car explosions, and there are at least like 1 or 2 explosions of a car exploding, getting crashed up, or a building getting exploded. But that's it. There's not like CGI stuff in this movie. No, it's hand-to-hand combat, and it's choreographed very well. Also, the other characters, the Huntress, the Birds of Prey themselves are, of course, very good in their roles. I thought they would play fantastic roles. The jokes that they make are fantastic. And this movie is pretty funny. I like how they add the kid into it. And I like how this is probably like the DCEU film other than Wonder Woman. This is the film that kind of puts the woman in the spotlight. And I love that, where the men aren't helping them. The women just go at it, and they are the badass B-words that they are. And it's just fantastic. And also, Ewan McGregor as Black Mask also plays a very good role. So it has a bunch of stuff that I also liked. And also, it has a mixture of Deadpool into the mix, where Harley Quinn is the narrator, and You go back a couple days to see how the story connects with the scene you just saw. It all works, and it's just new and vibrant. And I actually like this movie a lot more than Deadpool, if you guys don't know. So that's why it's my favorite DCEU film of this franchise. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My Instagram name is Marvel6. My TikTok name is Marvel1Fan. If you guys don't understand those names, head to my About section to get all those names. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.